What are the best sights at New River Gorge National Park? Let me show you around and give you some tips for visiting. There's so many things you can do at New River Gorge National Park. You're sure to find something that's just right for you. While hiking and whitewater rafting are the main draws for this park, you can also go rock climbing, wildlife viewing, mountain biking, and you can walk under a bridge that's high above the river, or on a certain day of the year, you can jump off of the bridge. Let's get oriented first. There are three main parts to this park, each with a visitor center. The northern end has a canyon rim area with the iconic bridge for this park. The middle part has a Grandview area with the historical town of Thurmond. The southern end has the Sandstone Falls. New River is actually one of the oldest rivers in North America. It is one of the very few that flows from south to north. It carved a gorge in West Virginia with beautiful scenery and great whitewater rafting. Come along and I'll show you the best sites so you can make the most of your time here at New River Gorge. But first, hit that subscribe button. It helps people discover this channel and the beauty of the national parks. Hit that notification bell so as we travel around to all the national parks, you will see the new episodes of videos that I publish. At the northern end of the park, near the quaint town of Fayetteville, is a canyon rim area. If you only have a few hours to go visit this park, this is the place to go. It's a must-view site. This is the bridge that's most associated with New River Gorge. It spans the gorge high above the water. The bridge was built in 1977. It spans 1,700 feet and rises 876 feet above New River. When it was built, it was the longest single-span bridge in the world, and it was that way for 26 years. The bridge reduced the travel time across the New River from 45 minutes to under a minute. The Canyon Rim Overlook Trail actually has three places you can watch the bridge. You can have the upper one, where you kind of go down the path, make a right, and you see above the bridge. You basically see the highway. Then you go down a little bit, there to the left, you see the top of the bridge, but from below the deck, and then you can go down even further to see a view from further down, about a quarter of the way or so down the gorge. So you get three nice views of the bridge from here at the Canyon Rim Visitor Center. Okay, from the upper overlook to the lower overlook of the bridge is 178 steps. As the sign says, it's optional going down, but it ain't optional coming back up. I'm glad the National Park Service has a sense of humor here. Well, we're here a couple of days before the scheduled annual Bridge Day, where they're supposed to allow people to jump off of that bridge in a parachute or something, but they canceled it this year, because COVID cases, I guess, is too high, so they canceled it. Just like last year. Now, if you look down there, there's a sign that says, walk under the bridge. There's actually a tour that you can get, that you can walk across the span and the steel trusses with the safety ropes and all that. I don't think Loretta wants to go do that. She's already shaking her head, says, no way am I doing that. So I guess we're not doing that. Well, that was a nice side view of the bridge. You say you want a more direct view? Well, I have just the answer. Go and hike the Long Point Trail. It's a relatively flat 3.2 mile trail that's out and back. It takes you through some forest and out to a rock cropping and gives you the best view of the bridge anywhere in the park. How about a walk along the cliff of the gorge with the river 1,000 feet below you? Well, the Endless Wall Trail zigzags along the cliff and that rises high above the New River with a fantastic view of the gorge and the river. Here's a tip for you. Instead of going all the way around the loop, ending up with the last bit of the trail along a busy highway, turn around at Diamond Point. You won't miss much. How about some history? Well, this is coal country after all, with deep history in coal. The Kaymoor Mine is a place that you can go visit to view the historical site, but you're going to have to work for it, because even though it's 1 mile each way, it is very strenuous with 821 steps along the way, down and up. Another interesting site is the Nuttallburg Mine and the head house. The Nuttallburg area is where the traditional coal mining depot is, but the main road that leads to it, down to the town where they have example structures of leftover town with church and all that, the road is closed, but you can get to there from the top via a very steep trail going all the way down to the gorge from the top. And that trail is actually quite steep and quite strenuous. However, if you go about a mile down, pretty steep, about 300-400 feet of elevation drop, you do see the upper end of this coal conveyor belt that was built and owned by Henry Ford so that he can have enough coal for his car plants. So the Nuttallburg Mine, which was here, and it was here for 85 years, 1873 to 1958. And we're at the head house. That's this area here. So the coal comes out of the mine on these rail cars, and then they get into the head house. And at the head house, that's when they transfer the coal from the rail cars onto a conveyor in the lower level. Let's go see the conveyor on the lower level. So this is where the coal gets dumped from the rail that's up there down into the conveyor that's down here, and the giant gear that you see here moves the conveyor down to the rail depot, which is by the river. And there you see the red roof of the conveyor cover all the way down to the river. And that's why this is known as the head house. Near the beginning of the head house trail, there is these tremendous looking rocks, cliffs, that actually attracts a lot of climbers. And we did see a number of climbers that are climbing right in this area. Now for some fun on the river. Whitewater rafting is well known at New River Gorge, and there are plenty of guide companies that can take you on the river. If you want a bit of challenge, as in Class 3 and 4 rapids, the Canyon Rim area is the place to be. But if you prefer calmer waters, you gotta go further south or further upstream, in the case of New River, for the calmer water. Here's another tip for visiting. Hike the Long Point Trail and the Endless Wall Trail first thing in the day, because the parking lot can get full very early in the day. After you finish that, then go to the Canyon Rim Visitor Center and do the walk around the Canyon Rim Visitor Center, because there's plenty of parking at the Visitor Center. And if you feel up to it, after you do that, then you can go to the Kaymoor Mine Trail, which is usually not a problem. Now a little background on New River Gorge National Park. New River Gorge National Park is the newest, this is as of 2022, national park in the United States. It was made a national park in 2020, and before that it was a national river. It's the only place that's a national park and a national preserve outside of Alaska. New River Gorge is the 45th largest national park by area in the United States. It spans 53 miles long, and it received 1.6 million visitors in 2021. This was an all-time high, a 60% increase from 2020. Clearly, the national park designation really helped with visitor count. In 2020, it was the 19th most visited national park in the US. In the middle of the park is the Grandview area and the historical town of Thurmond. I have high expectations when you name someplace Grandview, and this Grandview certainly met my expectation. It is the best view anywhere in the park. From an easy walk to a fantastic view, the Main Overlook is your ticket. This view is fantastic, but you say you want more? The Grandview Rend Trail takes you to Turkey Spur with a view that is almost as good. The bonus is that along the way, there are many viewpoints for a continuous, beautiful view of the gorge and the river below. The Grandview Rend Trail is one of the top trails here. Starting from a very nice Grandview Visitor Center and parking lot, you can have many choices actually. You can come out on the Grandview Rend Trail all the way to Turkey Spur, which gives you this fantastic view on both sides. There's like 3 different viewing platforms that you can go to that gives you fantastic views of the whole place. Or if you want an easier hike, if you walk all the way out to Turkey Spur, it's 3.2 miles round trip. But if you want an easier hike, you can just go down from the Grandview parking lot about 6/10 of a mile. And there's several overlooks along the way that is quite nice. And that part of the trail is quite easy, nice and flat, and very easy to do. The rest of the trail out to Turkey Spur is a little narrow and it's a little hilly, especially towards the end. And the footing is not that great. But for 3.2 miles, the view is fantastic. Well worth the hike. If you want the view at Turkey Spur, but you just don't feel like hiking there, well, I got a tip for you. You can actually drive there. You can drive all the way up to the bottom of the stairs. Then yes, you do have to take the stairs up, but it gives you all the way there, and all you got to do is go up the steps. It gives you a fantastic view. Near the Grandview area is the Tunnel Trail, which is a nice hike very close to the visitor center. It's well worth the time. The Tunnel Trail starts off at the Grandview Visitor Center parking lot, and it goes up some steps and then loops around to a ball field where they had coal miners having baseball games to keep themselves occupied. And then you loop around and you see this fantastic site with the rock outcropping that you get to walk underneath. And it's a short trail, 1 mile round trip, and it looks fabulous. You gotta walk under these rocks. Here's another tip for you. The Grandview Visitor Center is only open on weekends, so make your plans accordingly. In addition to great views, the middle part of the park also has a couple of historical sites that may be worth visiting. Historic Thurmond used to be a bustling rail yard or railroad stop with buildings like these that are built to serve the train crew and workers. There's still an Amtrak station here. There's an Amtrak stop here. And at its height, they used to do 15 passenger trains per day. Not anymore though. Thurmond, as it turns out, is the only stop on the rail within 74 miles where you can get the engine service and refueled and stuff like that. So these are the foundations for the water tanks that used to service the trains. So this was the commercial building. The commercial building built in 1904 has trust companies and banks and so on. National Bank of Thurmond. And then the hotel down the road marks the end of the commercial district. Over there is the coal tower where they fuel the engines with coal. Well, Thurmond is a good example of, as technology changes, the fortunes of the towns change also. Thurmond was built to service steam locomotives, but by 1949, the nation's railroad industry has switched more or less to diesel, and because of that and the improvement on the access to the gorge in general, it makes Thurmond and its steam servicing facilities less important. If you're into history or you have a bit of time, exploring Thurmond is not a bad idea, but unless you have the time or you're very interested in history, especially railroad history, this is probably one stop that you can skip. Near Thurmond is the Rend Trail, which follows an old railroad spur. The Rend Trail near Thurmond. On a nice fall day, you can see all the leaves on the ground falling. Starts off from the parking lot next to the creek on a pretty flat trail. We're gonna go down about 1.5 miles, 1.75 miles, and turn around because we're told that one of the bridges is closed, so you can only go about 1.75 miles before you have to turn around. So that's what we're gonna do. Along the way, you see some tall cliffs on the left side, and you can hear the river, which is now way down there on the right side. You can't really see it from here, but you can hear the water. The Rend Trail is pretty easy walking, even though it's going uphill a little bit. It's steady and it's wide. It's actually about the width of a single lane, and it's pretty flat and well maintained. And we're here in fall, so you can hear all the leaves. Sorry about that. But it gets up to about here, and then now you have stairs. So for the first good part of it, it's also bike accessible. Now we're beginning to get into an area where you just need to get off the bike, I guess. As of October of 2021, the Rend Trail coming from the Thurmond side is closed after just a little shy of 2 miles one way because of structural damage to this old railroad trestle that's here. So you can see that there is a railroad trestle beyond this fence, and looks like a big tall one with the stone arch, but due to structural problem it is closed. So time to head back. All the sites in the middle part of the park takes a full day, a very full day, or in a more relaxed pace, a day and a half. The southern end of the park features a couple of waterfalls and calmer waters for rafting. The Sandstone Falls area is on the southern part of the park, and there is a beautiful viewing platform as you see right here. And it's not a big fall, but it does stretch all the way across. It's very beautiful, serene, and a bit noisy, but that's what happens when you have the falls. There is an island loop trail, which is about 1 mile, and a nice walk in the woods. And you come out here and there's a broad walk, and you can go right up to the place where you can look at the falls. This is definitely worth the drive up here to visit. A dramatic view of Sandstone Falls from way up here in the Overlook. This little cascade is called Brooks Falls. A little stop right on the side of the road. It looks beautiful. A short hike on the Island Loop Trail, which combines with the Sandstone Falls Broad Walk. It's a short little 1 mile trail that goes through the woods and then back to the waterfall. The Island Loop Trail parallels this little creek here and loops around to the other side where you are next to the new river. While this is a short flat walk through the woods, it is actually quite rocky, so the footing is not very stable. So the distance and the elevation is flat and easy, but the footing is full of these rocks you have to walk through, which makes it a little bit difficult. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. It helps people discover this channel and the beauty of the national parks. Make a comment below on the new River Gorge National Park for anything that I may have missed. New River National Park is a fantastic addition to the national parks. It has so many things to do. It's got beautiful scenery. You can go hiking, whitewater rafting, and even visit some historical sites. If the national park is not enough, there are plenty of other attractions very close. If class 3 and 4 rapids doesn't get your heart pumping and your adrenaline going, go to the Gauley National River and for the Class 5 and above rapids. That will really get your heart pounding. To the south of New River Gorge is the Bluestone National Scenic River, where you can go hiking and boating and wildlife viewing. Want to learn about what life is like for a coal miner? Go to the Beckley Exhibition Coal Mine, and I have recorded the entire tour on the mine train and put a link up here and in the description box below. It is a fantastic tour that really teaches you about the tough life of a coal miner and the way that they live. Planning a visit? Here are some additional tips. If you only have one day, you really can't do the park justice, but if that's all the time you have, take half a day, go on a guided trip on the river, and take the other half of the day and go on a hike at the Long Point Trail. If you have 3 days, take a day to go hike the Long Point Trail, the Endless Wall Trail, and the Canyon Rim Visitor Area. Spend the second day at the Grandview area, hike the Grandview Rim Trail out to Turkey Spur and the Tunnel Trail. Spend the third day on the river with a guide, at least half a day of that, and then if you have time, go to the southern end of the park with the Sandstone Falls. To really do justice to this park, you should spend the better part of a week here. In addition to the 3-day plan, go spend some time at the Thurmond historical site to learn about the way that the railroads worked. Go to the Nuttallburg Mine and the head house trail with the head house to learn how the coal gets transported from the mine down to the river. And with extra time, go to the Bluestone National River, the Bluestone State Park, the Babcock State Park, the Hawks Nest State Park. They're all wonderful and they have good camping facilities. And if you really want to know about how coal miners' lives were, Beckley Exhibition Mine with this tour, again, the link to the full video is in the description box below. That will give you a really good idea of what life is like for the coal miners. Want to know where to stay while you're visiting? Well, the national park itself only has a few primitive camping sites, but the state parks nearby all have good camping sites and cabins, as well as lots of private campgrounds nearby. The town of Fayetteville is a great place to stay if you want to have a quaint town that's close to some of the major attractions. And if you prefer more of a suburban style with the chain restaurants and the chain hotels, then Beckley is your place to go. If you just want something that's very quiet and relaxing, the town of Hinton, south of the park, is a great place to stay. It is a little bit out of the way. You have to travel a bit to some of the major sites, but it is slow paced and very relaxing. We stayed at an Airbnb there, and here is the view right from the back deck of our Airbnb. It was fantastic. We had a wonderful time at the New River Gorge National Park, and so will you. Hopefully, this video has helped you do a little bit of planning and know what are the major sites that you can expect. We are on our way to visit all the national parks in the United States. Follow along by hitting the subscribe button below. Hit the notification bell so you know when a new video is released. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video, and please share it with everybody that you know.